getting in front of a microphone, just talking nonstop, saying some pretty dumb things. And CeeDee Lamb sat down on the Micah Parsons podcast and for the first time addressed the situation with his mom putting Dak Prescott on blast, saying, I wish he would go and play in Houston. Dak's not that guy. You know, a lot of these Cowboys don't want to win. CeeDee Lamb addressing what his mom said for the first time.
I have no conscience. No, I have not been talking to my mom about any of this. I don't talk to my mom about my sports nor my personal problems. She just being a mom. She knows her son. He comes home mad, unfortunately, when we lose. So she had the opportunity to voice her opinion on Facebook. Yeah, we know. I have, once again, I'm going to repeat this. No, I have no beef with my quarterback. I love my dog. He know that.
Bobby, that sounds like what you kind of guessed, going home frustration, just venting.
Yeah, and I think he handled it well. I think he didn't have to get asked about it. Like at the beginning, it's not included on that one, but at the beginning of that segment, he didn't even get asked about it. He was just like, let's clear the air on something real quick, and it's about my mom. So I like the personal responsibility to bring it up on your own and to say, of course, I saw what my mom said. I'm not going to pretend like, oh, I didn't see that. I'm not really on social media. I didn't know Dan Quinn got hired by the Commanders. There wasn't anything like that. I appreciate the willingness to tackle it head on and to give it the context of it's mom. Mom, sometimes you come home and you're frustrated and mom feels that and mom starts getting her own takes from it. But I have no issue with Dak. And that has nothing to do with this. And so I think he answered it as well as you can answer it.
And then Micah and Lamb both wanted to come together to reiterate that playoff game, that Packer loss, was not on number 4.
Please say this to the world, the people, that Dak can take us there. Please.
Dak can definitely lead us. He just also need other leaders. And that's why I'm pointing at myself. Because I can help him. You know what I'm saying? It's only so much he can do. He already got so much on his plate. You feel what I'm saying?
So much. He got the hardest job in America.
Man, come on, think about it.
Hardest QB job. It's the hardest job in America. You're the quarterback for the Dallas Cowboys. The hardest job in America.
No cap. And that's why I say self-reflection. You got to have a lot of that. And I've thought, you know what I'm saying? No, that playoff game didn't end the way we wanted it, nor did I have the beginning or first half of the game that I wanted. But I've learned so much from that playoff game, believe it or not.
Okay.
All right. So, I do. I buy it with him. I think there's a lot of inauthentic on this football team. I think CeeDee Lamb is about the realest person on this football team. And I appreciate and respect his ability to look back at things where he doesn't behave the right way and say, I didn't behave the right way.
I love this guy. I love CeeDee Lamb.
You know what he should really do? He should really just start bumping Mike McCarthy. People will start liking him better. Getting in his face and yelling at him like Kelsey did.
I think people like CeeDee Lamb. People like CeeDee Lamb a lot. I have a lot more faith listening to him talk about leadership than I do the guy next to him. Micah Parsons, I don't have any faith in Micah talking about it. It's just unfortunate CeeDee's like not that type of guy naturally. Sounds like he's going to try to force himself to be a little more outward. Because we knew sitting out with him at training camp, this guy, I think he's something special.
Yeah, and I mean, look, like, take the conversation we had with him at training camp where he said, you guys had interviewed him before, he wasn't very good.
No.
And when he sat down and he had improved and you asked him about it, you're like, hey, you've gotten really good at this. But then he told you, he's like, I've worked at it. He's like, I made a conscious effort to work at being better at this. And so I love his commitment to... I love how he is able to identify flaws within himself as a player, within himself as a leader, and consistently over the last few years has changed that. Look, as much as we say he pouted, his pouting was worse 2 years ago. Like when you remember how badly he got taken out of the Tampa game in the opener where Dak had gotten hurt, where he just 2 catches on 11 targets and he would just slump on the sideline, got completely taken out of the game. He is, to me, I understand there's still areas where he falls short. To me, he is a model for personal and professional growth within the NFL. And I think that's somebody who, if you told me for the next 10 years, and I wouldn't want to make a decision, I'd rather have them together, but if you told me for the next 10 years I can have CeeDee on the team or Dak on the team, CeeDee to me is so important to what they do moving forward.
Ooh. Yeah, and I'm not going to dismiss what happened. What happened at the beginning of that Packer game between Dak and Lamb was ludicrous. It was ridiculous.
It was
unnecessary, inexplicable. I would love to hear him talk about that, like early on. Like, you guys melt down, have a hissy fit and a tantrum, like in the first first 5 minutes of that game all falling apart. That was bizarre. That was weird.
Very weird. It's as if something was boiling over from the week.
Yeah.
Like that, you don't get that angry after 4 minutes. If something happened during the week or the week before or whatever.
Dak probably knew CeeDee's mom had the tweet in the draft. She hadn't sent it, but it was drafted, and you're getting ready to hit it.
He saw that CeeDee's mom opened up her face, activated the Facebook account again. She had deactivated it prior weeks.
She waved to him on Facebook.
She waved.
He knew she was back.
She waved.
Poked.
Poked.
It's funny. I think that when you talk to people after the game, there were a couple people that I talked to that had said like they played us the way we were worried they would be able to dominate us. And I wonder if that's what caused them to boil over. They knew this is the only way they can beat us, and they saw within the first few minutes, oh crap, they're going to beat us this way today.
Well, let's play the Jordan Love clip. People lost their minds over this clip. One, Cowboy fans were humiliated and embarrassed over what Jordan Love said. And number two, some were upset that Micah Parsons actually sat down with Love and asked him this on his pod.
Yeah, man, I think the key for us going to the game.
Let me set it up better. Micah asked Jordan Love, what was the game plan? What was the strategy against us that allowed you to blow us out?
Yeah, man, I think the key for us going to the game was we needed to run the ball. Like that was a huge thing. Obviously, we played y'all the year before, and I felt like we ran the ball pretty well. So just going against y'all, I'm not trying to talk, but y'all linebackers, I think y'all had a DB playing linebacker. I don't know, but like that was our goal, was to be able to run the ball, and it was going to set everything else up. And obviously, I think y'all biggest weapon is y'all pass rush. And so great DBs over there too, but I feel like they rely on the pass rush. You know what I mean? When you got a great pass rush, you thinking the quarterback going to get the ball out of his hands quick. And so we're able to, take advantage of that by, getting some chips on you, slow you down a little bit. Lawerence, slow him down a little bit. But, man, I knew I was going to have to hang in that pocket, take a couple hits from you, take a couple hits from those guys. The guys we had at receiver, man, I was confident that they were going to go out there and do what they needed to do against y'all DBs, man.
For sure.
Yeah, we suck, bro.
We knew too. We knew too that we were going to get torched by your receivers. So that is Jordan Love talking about the run game, making fun of the size at linebacker, and then being like, yeah, we didn't really fear your corners.
Are you embarrassed?
At all versus our no-name receivers.
You know who I think, in addition to the fans, is a little put off by Micah doing things like this? I think there are probably teammates that are a little put off by this.
The podcast?
The podcast in general, the constantly praising opponents, things like that. I think I think that leaves a little bit of a sour taste in guys' mouth. I don't think it's like a huge issue, but I do think that there are some guys that are probably like, dude, come on. We don't have to step up there on a big platform where we can talk about how great our opponents are.
Man, I understand what you're saying, but here, everyone's got a podcast these days. Like all these athletes, they have a podcast, they got social media. Like I don't think the players care anymore. I think 15 years ago, this would be a huge deal. Today, I'm like, man, like look around every sport. They've all got something going on.
Does anyone have an issue with Micah sitting Love down and asking him this or that question? I don't.
I don't have an issue with him asking the question. Unchecked, sitting there and going like, your linebackers kind of suck. I figured we were going to be able to take advantage of your defensive backs.
He didn't say they sucked. He made fun of the personnel, and the personnel was true.
Sure, but to hit it and then especially say, I knew we'd have success against your DBs, then Micah, I think the problem is the hallelujah chorus of Micah going, for sure.
Well, how's Micah going to say anything? He called out his entire roster after the season. How's he going to open his mouth? He's the one saying, like, we didn't go all in. We need better players around.
Yep. No doubt. You think that sits well with guys on that defense with him?
Hell
that
no.
He says, I need better players to play next to me because I'm doing everything I can. These guys are, schlubs.
Anything else from the strategy of what Jordan Love said in the way that they decided to attack?
I mean, look, you're talking about Jordan Love said a year ago running the ball that he's like, I knew we could run the ball a year ago, and so I figured we'd be able to do it today because I knew you guys hadn't done anything to fix it, basically is what he said. And you watch consistently this year, that's the way teams knew how to attack them. And Mike Zimmer, assuming that one goes through, that has to be line item one. We know he can generate pressure. We know what he can do in the pass game. He's got to figure out a way to make this run game better because this is 3 straight defensive coordinators now who have not been able to figure out how to make this defense stop the running game.
877-881-1053 is the truckwreck.com text line. 877-881-1053. By the way, some more Cowboys news before best and worst of the weekend. By the way, Micah Parsons did have the most jersey sales in the 2023-2024 season.
Wow.
So there's the Cowboys championship that they care so much about. Cowboys and Dak, according to Ian Rappaport, get ready. Expected to have a deal done before free agency that will make him one of the highest paid quarterbacks in the NFL. Expected to have a deal done before free agency.
Well, it would have to be, and if it's not, they're screwed. If they want to dive in that pool, right? I mean, because they've got him, they've got Micah, they got CeeDee, they want to sign, and with his $60 million cap hit, if they don't get that deal done before the start of the league year, they're in trouble.
You can free up a lot of money because you remember last week we went over here's ways you can free up $40 million without touching Dak. And then if you actually extend Dak and you make those moves, you're talking about freeing up a significant amount of money to go out there and be all in. Whatever that means, you can be all in. You can go do that this offseason if you want by flipping certain switches and doing certain things financially. And I think for anybody to take them seriously, given what they've done with their coaching staff this offseason, you have to do that.
And then Adden Dirty got hired as the new defensive coordinator in Seattle. So born in England, played in NFL Europe before embarking on the coaching career at the age of 44, will be the defensive coordinator for Mike McDonald's staff in Seattle, a guy that you said was very highly thought of in Frisco.
Yeah, you were going to lose him eventually. This is one of those things where he couldn't just sit there at defensive line coach. People around the league respect him way too much. And when you're talking about this late in the game, like how long it took for Seattle to hire them and the minimal amount of options, this one makes a lot of sense of just like, hey, here's a really well-regarded guy who has been interviewing for these jobs, still hasn't gotten one. This seems to fill a void here for us unless you want to go get a retread like Rivera or Rex Ryan. And so happy for him. I know there are a lot of guys on the Cowboys defense who are going to be unhappy to lose him.
Did you think it was possible they would let Dak just play this out and not give him his new deal?
Yeah. I mean, I still until it's done. We'll continue. I'm going to continue to assume that way, just because I think it makes the most sense to go ahead and extend him, and I would extend him because I believe in what he did this year and what he can be moving forward. There's way too much chatter though of people going like, well, what if you did? There's too much like conversation behind the scenes of people going, well, this is. I mean. Just think about it, though. What if we did? Not saying that they were going to, but they're kicking it around too much, or it's being discussed too much to make me think that it's not a possibility.
Financially, if they believe that they want to keep him beyond this year, then financially they have to extend him. If it's still up in the air, then I suppose you could extend him, but structure the contract so the dead money is not as bad. I don't know if there's a way to do that. I'm sure there is, and make sure you don't give him a no trade clause. Like that. That's it. But if you think he's going to be here beyond this year, then you kind of have to extend him financially.